Hello there, beautiful, and welcome back to The Dark Alchemist. Today I have a short reading, short and sweet. We're only going to draw a couple of cards for the collective, so take what resonates and leave the rest. I pre-shuffled the decks already. Let's just hop straight into it, shall we? So, we got one topic card for today. What would you like us to speak about? That was immediate. Oh, we got the card of baby steps. Baby steps. Action, follow your intuition before it makes sense. I'm going to draw a couple more cards to look at the story that you need to hear. And then underneath it we have lifting the veil, questioning everything, anything unaligned must go. Okay, so that's our guiding force in this as well. And let's see what your story is. What's the story connected to baby steps? 4 cards max, please. Number 1, number 2, and 3 and 4. Thank you. If you were here last week, I already see some cards coming back. And underneath it we have 7 of spells. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side and see if we need that later. So the first card that we had coming out was the card of the Lovers. We have the card of the 9 of Visions, with this wishing well here that we see. And then we had, this is why I said it reminds me of last week's reading, the Ace of Visions, because we went in depth about the vision that this card represents. And then we have this paired with the 4 of Visions. And clearly these two came out as one message, so we will take it as such when I piece the message together for you. Let me start this off by talking a little bit about baby steps and the concept of following your intuition before it makes sense. See, this is why I say that it builds on last week's reading, so I'm going to leave the link down below for you and probably actually popping up there for you now if you have not been a part of that reading yet. Because this concept of following your intuition before it makes sense speaks about the idea of inspired actions, and when we are receiving these seemingly random inspirations, these little nudges, to go some specific place, do a specific thing, and it's not something that logically makes a lot of sense to us, and the way that it ties into the grander plan that we have for something that we want to create. This card is a reminder that when these nudges, these intuitive nudges come in, you are called to follow them, number 1. And number 2, this speaks about when these nudges come, you are tapped into your higher self and into a different kind of wisdom that has a much, much broader overview of how these small events tie into the big picture. Let's say, we got the Lovers card. That's not the meaning that I see for this reading, but just to give you one example, it would be the event of 2 people meeting. It doesn't have to be lovers, could be friends. 2 people meeting, and 2 people that are meant to share a certain part of their life together, or a certain stretch of the journey of their lives together, certain part of the path. When these 2 people meet, I want you to take a moment and acknowledge all of the things, all of the places, all of the people, the minute timing. Actually, I say minute, but it's up to the nanosecond of timing that needs to come into play so that these 2 people meet in exactly the way that they're supposed to meet at the right time in this specific way. That involves so much more than just 2 people deciding that they're going to go someplace and do a specific thing. It's about, let's say they meet randomly at an exhibition. Both have to get tickets, both have to decide they go on this day at this particular hour, the public transport that they take to get there, like the kinds of trains that they pick so that they arrive there at that particular time, and then wandering into the same hall at the same time. Maybe they have, however long the conversation takes that they have with the people that check them in. All of these like smaller details define these moments. What I'm really trying to say here is every single encounter and every single aspect of these inspired actions, when you take them, every single one of these little outcomes is in and of itself a magical miracle when you really start to think about it. If we're looking a layer deeper and we're looking at the spirit teams involved that need to come together and plan and make everything happen. So, again, like the people are there at that specific time, and all of the other outer circumstances, maybe one of them has already a family or something, and, maybe their partner took their kids to the kindergarten at that time. So they had a bit, they could be on that train a bit earlier. You get the idea. I'm going to stop giving you examples, but you get the idea. Every single one of these aspects is magical. And there's something very, very important about you acknowledging the magic in these smaller aspects. I see that mirrored here. I know we're jumping straight to the end, but give me a moment. You see this mirrored here in the Four of Visions, because the Four of Visions is a card that depicts someone who is not present to the magic that is already in their lives. You see that there is the kingfisher here. Let me have a look. You see that there is like a magical dragonfly up there, and all of these beautiful things. The lotus flowers are in bloom. All of these magical things that are there surrounding this person, they don't notice it because they're stuck in their minds. They don't pay attention to it. They're not looking around. And in combination with the Ace of Visions, this speaks about how, because look at this card, you see, this is where you are, this is where you want to be, right? This is where you are. This is the mirror image of what you see, what you envision, what you want to create. And we are back again at the topic of manifestation this week as well, like last week. And when we are working towards a goal, or we are wanting to manifest something very specific, or just something in general, it can be very easy to feel almost a bit depressed that this thing hasn't manifested yet, and we are like looking out and looking out and looking out for the end vision of this, looking out for the end vision. And then when it's not there, or it doesn't present itself in the way that we want it to, or it takes a bit longer, we fall into this state of like, I hate my life, or this is never going to work for me. And this is a stage where, again, there are so many magical things present here, and we spoke about that already in just like, the smallest things. When you're not paying attention to these smallest things, you are missing out on the changes that your life already holds. At the same time, when you're starting to pay attention to the magical elements that your life already holds, it increases your manifestation power, in the sense of you are recognizing that you are already in a receptive mode, because all of these things are already happening in your life. When you pay attention to that and you are grateful for these smaller aspects, you start noticing them more and more. Guess what? That's what your energy amplifies. You will receive more and more. But it's very difficult to move over to here when that is the state that you're in. Because that state, like why from an energetic standpoint, I should say that as a preface, why Should the universe give you more when you are already, or when the energy that you're sending out is primarily dissatisfaction with what you've gotten? There is a mismatch. Wanting more and dissatisfaction with what you've got don't mesh together. Being grateful for what you have gotten will get you more things that you can enjoy, more everything. Whereas being stuck in a feeling of dissatisfaction with what you've gotten and where you are will give you more of that. I know we're kind of going backwards in this reading, but this is also where the baby steps come in. Follow the small intuitive nudges. You don't need to have the big idea yet. That's not what this is about. This is a journey, and your energy will shift and change and be cultivated by you and your circumstances along the way. Right at this time, you may think you know where you want to go, but maybe there is a way that's even better for you, or a place that's even better for you that you are not aware of right at this time. And that's why following these inspired ideas is very important. Same thing with baby steps. If you're so frustrated with where you are or how you're feeling in general, and feeling maybe very uncomfortable in your body, let's say, there are smaller actions that you can take to start feeling a bit better in your body. And it doesn't have to be drastic or a complete shift. You don't need to, let's say, popular example, if you are not moving your body that much, you don't need to go from not moving your body that much to being a gym bunny 7 days a week for 3 hours every single day. You go for, maybe I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk every day, or I'm going to do 5 minutes of stretching every day. It's like about the smaller things, because it will build momentum. When you keep it up, it will build momentum. You will feel a bit better and a bit better and a bit better and a bit better, which will then generate more of your enthusiasm for taking more actions. And at the same time, because you are already engaged with that new identity that you want to create, because every time that you're manifesting, you're trying to create the identity of someone else, or not someone else. Let me rephrase that. You're trying to cultivate the identity of yourself and the version of you that already has what you want. Taking these micro actions is absolutely key here. And it's interesting with the Lovers and the Nine of Visions here. I think actually we needed to work backwards through this reading, because the Lover speaks about significant life changes and the commitments that you make in your life. And the Nine of Visions, let's focus on this card for a moment. When you look at this, you see that there is the coin that is thrown currently in the wishing well. And, this is an enchanted wishing well. Every single wish that you make when you throw a coin in will become real. The only caveat is that this wish needs to be true. Meaning, it is a wish that needs to come from the depth of your soul, the depth of your heart, and it needs to be true for you. Screw what anyone else thinks. Is this really what you want? Deep down, what feels true to you? What feels good to you? When you think about the thing that you want to manifest, or the circumstance, whatever you want to manifest, when you think about that, and you think about this aspect being present in your life for the rest of your life, how does it make you feel? Does it create any sense of tension or anxiety or whatever else? If so, could be a good indicator that maybe this might not be a true wish. I say could be because, we're complex. Emotions are complex. This is a collective reading, so I know certainly for myself, I have made wishes that at the time I thought I wanted, and I'm so glad they never worked out the way that I wanted to, because ultimately that was not what I wanted at all. And that's where the Lovers come in. It's about the commitment. Whatever feels true to you, and you make a wish about that, that's where you should put your focus. That's where you should put your commitment. Because that is where, as you are taking these baby steps, that is the life that you're creating bit by bit by bit by bit. That is the direction in which your life is changing, and you are the active agent of that. We are always manifesting every single day, every single second. And I don't want to create feelings of anxiety within you. I just want to bring awareness, because the smaller actions that you are taking every single day, like every decision, every action that you are taking, is essentially a vote for the person that you will become and for the life that you will live later on. And the reason that I say I don't want to invoke feelings of anxiety is because sometimes it can be it could be a trigger point for feeling that everything needs to be perfect and perfectionism, and I need to be on 100% of the time. And that's not the case. It's the majority of these actions and the majority of the decisions that you are making that is, much like any election, the majority share of the decisions, the majority share of the votes that you are making is creating your future. And that's why the example, for example, that's why the example of wanting to create a feeling in your own body that you feel at home and you feel just good in your body, to whatever capacity that's available for you. Taking a walk for 20 minutes every single day is a vote for becoming someone who will eventually, if you want to, maybe go for a slow jog or do any other kinds of exercise or whatever, or someone who can keep up and play with it with their kids, you know what I mean? And it starts with the smallest action. So the number one question that I can pass on for you is, which aspect of your life and of the daily decisions that you are currently taking and the votes that you're making for yourself are not aligned with that new version of you? And what can you let go of? What can you shift? Because I feel like that's your key. Never underestimate, if you want to build a meditation habit, never underestimate showing up for 5 minutes every day to sitting down and meditating. Things compound. And that's the last thing that I want to speak about in terms of setting goals. The mindset that is depicted here that I spoke of is the mindset of being goal-oriented, meaning you're only satisfied when you reach the big goal. you're being called to shift your mindset to being process-oriented. Give you one example, process orientation, or personal example. I'm currently training for a half marathon. That would be a goal, half marathon. Process orientation is I go running 3 times a week, I do strength training twice a week, and then I do stretching a couple of times a week. I cannot fathom thinking about the end goal, that's so far away, that's like a couple of months out, so it's not really tangible for me. And if I set that as my end goal, everything I do until then feels not good enough, because distance-wise, that's not where I'm at. You know what I mean? But choosing process-oriented goals, like I can go for a run 3 times a week, I can do that. And it's also motivating because each week it's an action that I have full control over. I'm responsible for putting in that work, and I can put that work in. And then the end result of reaching or being able to run that kind of distance is almost arbitrary, because it's the natural progression of the process-oriented actions that I'm taking. And I feel like some of you needed to hear that today, that there's a different kind of mindset that helps you get going and showing up for yourself. Don't focus so much on the biggest end vision that you can do. Break it down. What's a process-oriented goal that you can set for yourself? Okay, Spirit coming through with a practical advice today. I feel like that's it. That's your short and sweet reading for this Sunday today. And next week I'm going to have a pick a card for you again, but this one really needed to come through first. So I hope you are feeling fantastic and you're taking good care of yourself, and have a bit of a think ending with the thinker pose anyway. Have a bit of a think about the process orientation mindset that you can shift into. And I feel like I'm going to leave you with one very, very nurturing Reiki videos of mine that you can hop into right now if you want to.